Perfect. So what we're going to do today in this session is talk about Microsoft AI. First of all, let me do a quick intro. So my name is Sri Ganapathy. I'm part of a team at Microsoft called the Global Black Belt, and our team focuses on all our AI capabilities. We work with many enterprise and strategic customers of ours in helping them adopt our AI platform. And thanks for the opportunity to talk to so many of you. Hope you had a great day. I saw the lineup of speakers and topics. Hopefully there was a ton of value. So this is, I think, the last session, so I'll keep it short and sweet here. So what I plan on covering is the Microsoft AI stack, but more importantly, what are some customer scenarios that we're seeing? What are some customer case studies and use cases, right, that we're seeing that are very common patterns that I would like to share with this community. And of course, you as audience and customers can tell me and tell us, what are you seeing and how can we help? So from an agenda standpoint, that's what I have. I'll talk briefly about the Microsoft AI overview, and then we'll just dive into the common AI patterns and scenarios, which is kind of like the primary focus of this presentation. I'll also touch upon something called as cognitive services, which are a set of pre-built AI models that Microsoft has that can actually address a lot of these common AI patterns and scenarios. All right, so if that sounds good, let me just go ahead and jump in the interest of time. So when we think about Azure AI from a Microsoft perspective, we cater to different audiences. We have developers and data scientists. That's our primary audience, right? When we talk to technology companies and we talk to companies that are interested in using AI capabilities, the tech audience within the organization, the developers and data scientists are sort of our core focus. So many of the AI services that we have at Microsoft and we build and offer are focused at that audience. But we'll also talk about what about the others, right? And so I'll get to that. But let's talk about the developer and data scientist audience. And there is obviously two different categories there, developers and data scientists. So I don't want to, say that they're one and the same. They're obviously not. But this set of services that I'm highlighting here on the slide addresses, both those audiences. So the one at the bottom called Azure Machine Learning is our machine learning platform. So Microsoft has a machine learning platform to help you bring your models or build models from scratch, data science models from scratch, and manage that end-to-end lifecycle, whether it's, constantly retuning the models, deploying it, and doing CI/CD type stuff with those machine learning lifecycle. We call them MLOps. So that's our Azure Machine Learning platform. And that's the one that's primarily targeted at the data scientist audience. But then, another important audience that we want to enable is our developer community. So, and we have a number of services, and we call them our pre-built AI models. You'd also see them referred to as cognitive services. So these are APIs that we expose so that you as an audience don't have to build them from scratch. Microsoft builds these models, but then we offer it to you as APIs so that you can use them in your applications. And this is what is focused at the developer audience, because these are APIs that a developer should be able to use in any programming language of his or her choice, whether it's Python or R or C# or Java, and all those languages the developers are familiar with. And then we also recognize that while we have these APIs, while we have a machine learning platform, there are lots of repeatable scenarios, and that's what this talk is going to focus on. I'm going to jump in a minute or so here on what those repeatable scenarios are that we're seeing from our customers. And so we have built a lot of services that are addressing those repeatable scenarios. So for example, Form Recognizer is a service that we launched some time ago, which is very popular. And the idea behind Form Recognizer is a lot of customers have come and told us, I have forms, whether it's invoices, receipts, W-2s, you name it. Every organization has a lot of different types of forms that they process. And they've told us that we need a service or we need AI to be able to understand what's in the form so that I can take the key values, extract the keywords from it, and do something with it. And a lot of ways of approaching that are, you can build your own custom machine learning models. You can use APIs like Vision APIs to do OCR and read certain pieces of the form and do something with it. But since it's such a common scenario, we actually built a service called Form Recognizer, where you feed in a set of forms to the service, and it'll actually automatically read, extract information, and spit it out so that you can do something with it. So that's an example of what we call a scenario specific AI service. So if you look at this bucket that I have here called Azure AI, there are three separate lines. So the bottommost is the machine learning platform that's aimed at data scientists. The one in the middle, which is a pre-trained and customizable AI models that Microsoft builds and makes it available, that's aimed at the developer so that you can infuse that into your applications. And the one on top is we are also addressing scenario-specific AI services. And then we'll talk about more scenarios like that shortly here. But then you may ask, what about the other audiences within an organization? Not everybody is a developer or a data scientist. So one of the critical audience that we also want to enable is what we call citizen developers. So these are not, coders, if you will. They don't really want to build applications using a code-first approach, whether it's using, a programming language or not. They're more the visual developers. They want a low-code, no-code way of building applications. And Microsoft has a core set of capabilities. We call it the Power Platform that can enable this audience. So if you are a business user, if you are a visual drag and drop sort of a developer, you actually can utilize a number of our capabilities, whether it's Power BI, Power Apps, etc., to build applications. Now, as part of those applications, we also want you to take advantage of our AI capabilities. So what we have done is we have built a layer on top of the Power Platform called AI Builder, where as you're building these applications, you're building these user experiences using a low-code, no-code manner, you can also take advantage of a lot of the AI services that the bottom section of the slide talks about into those applications so that as a citizen developer, you can also build AI applications. Last but not the least, what about people that are already using several Microsoft services like our Bing platform, LinkedIn, PowerPoint, or Office set of products? Well, first-party products, as we call them at Microsoft, is a very important focus area. So all the AI that we build, we actually use in our own product stack. So if you're familiar with PowerPoint, PowerPoint has a neat capability called being able to design your slides automatically for you. The way it does it is it actually uses AI techniques by looking at your content and says, here is a really nice layout, and it suggests certain layout techniques for you. So lots of capabilities like that we use in our own products, or what comes to life for everyday users. So that's kind of like the overview of the AI platform. So now let's jump in and talk about what are the common AI patterns, what are the repeatable use cases scenarios that we're seeing from our customers. And I have a lot of logos of customers that I work with and Microsoft works with sprinkled in here. This is by no means a representative list of all the customers we work with. We have thousands of customers using Microsoft AI services. These are some of the ones that fall into some of these patterns that I'm going to talk about here. And I'd love to, again, hear from this community, what are you seeing and how can we help? So the three, if I were to classify them into three categories, here are the three that we are seeing from an AI standpoint. The first one, the first block that you see, we call them AI-powered apps. And again, these are applications that you as an organization are building, but you want to infuse those applications with AI. So unlike just a traditional application, that you may be building to solve a business problem, how can you take advantage of AI services? And I'll give you an example. So Allstate, who's obviously, an insurance company, they have built a call center application where what they want to do is, as part of the call center automation process, they want to be able to understand as they're recording these call center, voice conversations, they want to be able to transcript, convert those speech into text transcription so that they can do sentiment analysis on the calls and then take, customer feedback and take action. So they use services, Microsoft AI services such as speech to text, sentiment analysis. All these are pre-built AI models that we have available that you can infuse into your application. So instead of you having to go and hire a team of data scientists to build these sentiment analysis models, or to build things like how do I take the audio and convert them into text and then do some analysis on it. These are all neural network deep learning models that you have to build, but we have them already available for you. So when you're building a call center automation solution, as an example, that's your app. How do you power them with AI? And you power them with AI by taking advantage of these machine learning models that we have and deep learning models. So that's the first category, AI-powered apps. There are several other examples we can talk about, but in the interest of time, I'm going to keep moving through these. The second category is knowledge mining. Knowledge mining is a very interesting area. It's something that we are seeing a lot of customers come to us with, which is all about how do I extract insights from unstructured data. Unstructured data could be a lot of different forms that I already talked about in the form recognizer example. It could be documents like financial services documents. You want to just mine all of this documents for information. So these are typically PDFs and other types of documents that are sitting in an organization, and you want to extract meaning from them. And again, I'll give you an example. So PwC, the logo that you see there, they are looking at building a risk compliance solution. And what they want to do is they have all of these different documents that they have to look into these and look at which ones fall into which regulatory compliance requirements. So they have to extract by manually looking in these documents some keywords, key phrases, clauses that may adhere to a certain regulatory compliance, and then they have to classify those documents. So just document classification across the different regulatory compliance needs is an important task for them. And that's typically a manual process, or you do some sort of automation, but it doesn't involve any AI techniques. But what they're doing now is they're using Azure Machine Learning, the machine learning solution, to go ahead and learn from this corpus of data, unstructured data that they have, so they can build models to understand them. And then as they're extracting these documents, they need capabilities to be able to do OCR of, maybe text that's hidden within images. They may need to translate the document from one language to another. They have to identify certain keywords and things like that. So we have a number of capabilities that fall within our knowledge mining landscape of AI that can help solve for those business problems. So that's an important area as well. The last but not the least is machine learning, which is probably the most popular. And whenever people think of AI, they think of machine learning. So that one I think is very well understood already. So that's, of course, an equally important area for Microsoft as well. And we have many, many customers that are utilizing the Azure machine learning platform to build those applications. So those are the top three sort of like AI patterns that we are seeing. All right, so I'm going to jump in here. And then the next one is around what are some pre-built AI scenarios, right? And when I say pre-built AI scenarios, I talked about the fact that Microsoft has a lot of pre-built AI models. So how do you take advantage of them? And here are some scenarios that we have seen our customers again use them for. One of the most popular ones is robotic process automation. So we have many customers that are trying to infuse AI into their RPA solutions. So they want to transform robotic process automation into more of an intelligent automation process. So I'll give you an example again there. So we have customers that want to maybe, like in the insurance example again, maybe you want to do claims automation. So we have a customer that's wanting to automate that end-to-end claims process as part of the RPA solution. So what they are doing in this case is that they want, if you're a customer of this insurance company, and let's say you had a vehicle damage, you want to be able to upload images of your damaged vehicle. Maybe let's say you had a cracked windshield. So as part of filing the claim, you have to upload an image so that they can, process that and make sure that they have all the necessary pieces of information. Normally, this is a manual process. Somebody looks at that image, verifies that, yes, this had a cracked windshield, and so it does qualify for, that particular claim. But by using AI services like computer vision, which actually can do object detection, you can actually train an AI model using our computer vision pre-built AI service to look for those windshield cracks. And when a customer sends an image, it automatically can then run that model and say, yeah, this image that the customer uploaded does have a cracked windshield, so it qualifies for this particular claim. So that manual process is taken away. And then once that happens, maybe you can even take it one step further. What if now that you've approved that it's a valid claim, maybe the customer already went in and fixed that particular damage with a service repair, and they're now sending the invoice of the repair statement so that you can pay the customer back. So even that invoice that the customer actually produced can be uploaded, and automatically key pieces of information from that invoice can be extracted by using OCR and forms recognition and other techniques, where I can look at the name and the amount that was paid, etc., and then a downstream system can do something with it. So that's typically what RPA does, but by infusing them with AI techniques, you're really making it intelligent automation. And so again, that's an example of a pre-built AI scenario. You have lots of other examples here that you can also look at. So we talked about knowledge mining with one example of auditing and compliance, but knowledge mining also has many other use cases or scenarios: digital asset management, technical content review, customer feedback analytics, etc. So maybe I'll give you another example here as well. So technical content review is an important one. So we have customers that are looking at, they may have service technicians that are going out and maybe providing technical support to their end customers. So as part of doing that, these service technicians may have to go through a lot of manuals, of that particular repair that they have to perform. And it's a very hard task for these service technicians to be able to accurately find the information they need. By building a knowledge mining solution where you can actually take all of these different service manuals that you have and then putting them into a central repository and then applying AI techniques to mine them, categorize and classify them, so that if I'm a technician, I can ask a natural language question to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this particular repair of a certain device, of a certain brand, of a certain version. Show me exactly what steps do I need to perform. And I can go and search on all of these thousands of manuals that have been uploaded to my system. And based on those keywords, I can extract and provide the exact set of instructions this service technician may need. So that's an example of, just providing service to that audience. So again, it's just one example, but there are several customers, as you can see on the slide, that have taken advantage of knowledge mining as a focus area as well. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of idea of some of the scenarios. And when we talk about utilizing these pre-trained AI models that I mentioned previously, we categorize them into 4 buckets as well, because we see that these repeatable scenarios usually fall into one of these. You are either trying to do something with an image and you're trying to identify and analyze content within the image, right? Whether it's an image, whether it's a video, etc., like OCR, like forms recognition, all of those fall into our vision cognitive service. So we have a set of capabilities that are bucketed as vision, where you can go and leverage these pre-built AI models that Microsoft has, and you can customize them for your needs. That's very important, right? Even though these are pre-built AI models, you as a customer can take these and train that model with your own data set so that it performs better with your particular problem area. So I'll give you another example there. So if you're a healthcare customer, and let's say you're trying to analyze X-ray images to identify a certain disease pattern, you then have to train that vision API that we have with your own set of X-rays, because we have no idea of what X-ray images contain. So the vision model that we've built is very generic. It's based on other data sets. So, but then we give you the capability of customizing that vision service where you can then train the vision model, and we apply transfer learning so that your custom vision model now actually is very specific to that problem you're trying to solve. In this example, being able to analyze X-ray images, so that when it sees a new X-ray image, it can actually detect. Maybe you're looking for pneumonia, and so you're looking for certain patterns in the X-ray of the lung that actually detects pneumonia with a certain confidence interval. And so the vision AI model is hugely useful in that example. The same thing, the 3 other categories that we have. One is speech. Speech is, like I mentioned already with the call center example, a very big focus area for many of our customers, where they want to integrate speech processing into their applications and services. Language is all about natural language processing, extracting meaning from unstructured text. It's doing things like entity extraction. Natural language understanding is a huge area here. And you may all have seen the partnership Microsoft announced recently with OpenAI, specifically with GPT-3, which is the largest language model in the world. And Microsoft has a license to use that language model, and we are using that within our internal services today, which really makes these state of the art. And we've been able to attain a lot of not just human parity, but some really complex techniques like neural voice detection, things like that. The last one is around decision. So decision is all about making smarter decisions faster. So this could be things like I'm a retailer and I want to understand customer buying patterns. So based on existing information, I want to make a decision whether to target a particular audience or not. So we have services such as Personalizer, where you can create personalized recommendations to your customers using our decision AI capabilities. So those are the 4 sort of high-level buckets that we have that fall into what we call Azure Cognitive Services. Again, like I mentioned, they're customizable. They are pre-trained deep learning models. And the last one that's not mentioned on the slide is many of our customers have also expressed interest in deploying these models to edge containers, right? So you don't necessarily always want to be connected to the cloud. Maybe you're deploying this model at an oil rig that is disconnected from the internet. So all of these models, I shouldn't say all, but many of these models can run as containers so that you can actually package them up and run it at an edge device like an IoT device, and then you can also do that inferencing right there locally. So it also has some really good capability for those scenarios. This is the last slide that I have, and then I'll pause and see if there are any questions. So when we are building all of these different AI capabilities, we want to make sure that we are addressing 4 key pillars that our customers are interested in. One is, I already mentioned this, we want to enable all skill levels, whether you're a developer, you're a data scientist, you're a citizen developer, business user, our services cater to all of those different audiences. We have different experiences within our stack that addresses each of those different skill levels. We want to make sure that you don't just build these one time and and throw it away. We want to give you that full life cycle management, because AI and machine learning is all about managing this on an ongoing basis. So that MLOps, bringing that CI/CD capabilities into the data science workflow, is very important. And so we have full lifecycle management capabilities that is important for us. Responsible ML is another key area or topic for Microsoft. We want to make sure that as you're building these AI services, you're doing so in an ethical and responsible manner. So whether it's understanding how your models are built by giving you options to do interpretability of your models, or whether it's understanding fairness in your data set. Is my data biased towards a sensitive category? How do I detect for that? So we have tools and frameworks available that can help you build machine learning models in a responsible manner. And the last one is, we don't want you to be locked into proprietary ecosystem. Our services are all completely open and interoperable, meaning that you can bring your own IDE, you can bring all the open source innovation that's available out there, whether it's all the deep learning frameworks that you see like TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, PyTorch, etc. Whether it's things like GPT-3 that I already talked about. All that open source innovation is something that we actually build as part of our product stack and let you interoperate. If you already have existing work done, there is no need to throw them all away to move to the Azure AI stack. You can actually take that work that you already have in place and augment it with some of the AI capabilities. And again, we have some customer examples for each of these buckets on how they're taking advantage of this that I can dive into deeper if need be. So I know it was a very short overview. Just want to cover quickly some of the patterns that we are seeing around AI. What does the AI services from Microsoft offer to those different audiences? And also some customer examples. So hopefully that was useful. And I'll just pause there and see if there are any questions.